Ohio State had victory in their grasp, but let it slip away.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a bonus episode of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And during this Hardwood Huddle, we discussed the plan for Ohio State's basketball team moving forward. But before we get to any of that, Ohio State had victory in their grasp, but let it slip away. It was a 77-76 overtime loss to the Indiana Hoosiers in the shot. Ohio State was in a great position last night to pick up a W. Indiana is an even team with Ohio State. They're also struggling in their own right. They were coming off of two blowout losses in their two previous games. Indiana Hoosiers fans were calling for Mike Woodson to get fired inside Assembly Hall. And so there's a lot of things that with that team that Ohio State was playing, you're thinking, okay, Ohio State has every right and every opportunity to win this game. Unfortunately, Ohio State is still without Meechie Johnson. They were also without Devon last night. Those are two big losses. But I do think there was another factor to the loss, and it wasn't just the absence of Royal and Johnson. Ohio State wasn't able to control Oumar Ballo. He was able to facilitate, and he was able to control a lot of the things in the pace of the game. But also, just defensively, sometimes when you got a guy that's hot and Goode like he was last night, you gotta have to have a guy just stick on him like white on rice. But Ohio State didn't do that. And in the numbers for the game, tell you a little picture. Oumar Ballo had 21 points, 8 of 14 shooting, also had 15 rebounds. Goode led all scores last night, 23 points on 7 of 14 shooting from the field. He had 4 of 7 of his shots from downtown. Those two guys were the only two players for the Hoosiers that had over 20 points. Before Ohio State, you had John Mobley Jr., Bruce Thornton, and Micah Parrish all scoring 18 points or more in the contest. They were great. They were fine. It was fun watching Mobley Jr. continue to progress and grow during his freshman campaign. Bruce Thornton, we expect him to play big. But when it came to Ballo, Ohio State has tall men. They don't have big men. And there's a big difference between a tall man and a big man. You know how it is when you're out there watching somebody play on a pickup basketball court, and you look out there and you're saying, "Okay, man, we see you. You got the height. We think you got some size." You get out there, you find out homie can't bang. He's more of a tall man. He's not big man. And for Ohio State, Sean Stewart, good player. Ivan, I can't pronounce his last name yet. He's a good player. They're tall men. They're not big men. Oumar Ballo is a big man, 7 foot, listed at 260. I was talking to my wife about this. I think he's heavier than 260, but he was doing a phenomenal job of facilitating. And there was even a portion during the game, I think it may have been the second half, where Ballo was on the right block, being guarded by Sean Stewart. Evan Mahaffey was on Goode, who was in the left corner behind the three-point line. Mahaffey goes over to double, leaves his man from the left corner, goes to the right block to double Ballo, which I think was a bad decision. But the rotation was even slow. Ballo sees his man that's hot, is open in the corner. Goode gets that ball, he rises up, and it went in. Now, I don't think that was the right move, but maybe you try to sneakily get a guy over there to double. But if you're guarding Goode, you can't do that. And in the Big Ten, while I was very excited about Ohio State basketball team having a couple big men, I mean, two guys that are over 7 foot, there's a difference between tall man and a big man. And in the Big Ten, you want to have a guy that's a big man, not just a tall man. Yeah, Ivan is talented. He's an overseas guy coming into the States for the very first time playing basketball for Ohio State. So I look forward to seeing his growth throughout his Ohio State career. But last night, I do think that was one of the issues. Also, the Hoosiers got hot in the second half, so that's another added bonus for the Hoosiers that helped them propel and get a 1-point win. For Ohio State shooting a night ago, okay, shooting 45% shooting from the field, 35% shooting from downtown. They were 80% from the foul line. They had 12 of 15 of their shots from the charity stripe. I mean, just those numbers alone give a great picture. But when it comes to the hustle stats, Ohio State lost that battle in the second chance points. They lost the battle with the bench points. They did win it. They were +2 in the points in the paint category. But when it comes to second chance points, it points off the bench, especially when two of your key guys are not able to go. Sometimes those are the areas that you need to get a little bit more production in for Ohio State to win a game against Indiana, an evenly matched team. And I think if these two teams were to play 5 more times, one team might win 3 times, another team might win 2 times. Now, if Ohio State was at full strength, I think Ohio State wins that game, just being honest with you. But I don't think those absences were the only reason they lost. If they did a better job on guarding Oumar Ballo in that game, the Buckeyes probably win, even if that shot falls at the end. Like, all of the issues Ohio State had, even all the pluses with John Mobley Jr., Evan Mahaffey being, Bruce Thornton being big piece of the pie, if that shot goes in at the end of the day, we're celebrating an Ohio State loss, but also talking about their defense against Ballo and against Luke Goode. I've even got some good shots from Trey Galloway as well. We're talking about those in a different light, a different way, because Ohio State picked up a W. One thing Ohio State needs to do moving forward is something that I think will be aided by some guys that weren't able to play last night. We'll dive into that next. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Attending the new 12-team college football playoff games is an incredible experience that brings fans together like never before. I remember the excitement of past playoff games and can't wait to make new memories with the updated format and extra teams involved. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I used Game Time Picks to find tickets for an upcoming game. Browsing through the deals was a breeze, and I found great value for all kinds of seats and around the venue. The Super Deal stood out as the best value for the event. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON. For $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank y'all for tapping into this bonus episode of Locked on Buckeyes and making this a part of your weekend. We're going to have a crossover with Locked on Irish coming at you tomorrow morning, as well as a regular scheduled Monday pod, getting you ready for Ohio State versus Notre Dame in the College Football Playoff National Championship. But also, we have been talking about diving more into basketball and making that more of a factor for Ohio State fans here on the show. And we're going to have a positive twist going out through the rest of the show because I don't want to be negative. There's a big game Monday night. There was a big game last night. Even though Ohio State lost the game, I think that was one of those moments where Ohio State can grow. I mean, and grow right before our very eyes. Jake Debler in his young infant, the infant stage of his head coaching career at Ohio State, games like that are growing situations, and they allow you to mature in huge ways. While Ohio State is very, very talented, IU is as well. I think one thing that hurt Ohio State in a very, very, very big way last night was not having Devon Royal. Because part of me believes if Devon Royal was able to go, your defensive strategy against the Hoosiers might be a little bit different. I'm not saying you eliminate Ballo's impact on the game. No. But I'm saying maybe Sean Stewart is able to utilize double teams and utilize his height and his length in a different way based off the personnel that Ohio State was lacking a night ago. And I think moving forward, you hope, and this team has unfortunately had quite a few guys that had to leave the team for whatever reason. Sometimes it's due to injury. Sometimes, like Meechie Johnson, he's away from the team for personal reasons. I think somebody else early in the year had to leave for personal reasons as well. There are things going on with this team that if they're hitting on all cylinders, if they have everybody on the roster, they're going to be fine. Yes, you need to figure out a way to guard big men better. And I think that's going to be a struggle for Ohio State throughout a lot of the Big Ten schedule, to where you have a road game at Purdue coming up on Tuesday. You have a home game against Iowa. You got to go to Happy Valley. You got to go to Champaign. You're home against Maryland. You got Nebraska on the road. And I mean, you got to go on the West Coast. You got to play UCLA and USC. I mean, the Big Ten Conference is full of really good teams. And I can't wait to see the more growth of John Mobley Jr. and Bruce Thornton and Micah Parrish. Even Evan Mahaffey has been a great factor for Ohio State this year. I can't wait to see how these guys progress moving forward and grow throughout the year. The benefit for this team is you don't believe you're going to be going a 5 or 8 game stretch. And in that stretch, you're going to lose at least one, guys. If every 5 games you're losing one person and the guys you're losing are either starters or key guys off the bench, that's not good, man. That's horrible. So Buckeyes get Devon Royal back eventually. When they do, you're going to start stacking wins. And I firmly believe they'll be able to stack wins over 3, 4, maybe even a 5-game winning streak in the Big Ten to help them build confidence heading into the conference tournament. We're not ready to talk about NC2A tournament yet. I am not ready for that. It's January 18th. I am not going to be a guy that's like, oh, Ohio State's getting to the Sweet 16. The one thing Ohio State basketball fans have been thirsty for a very long time. No, this team has to figure out a way to be more consistent, to build more chemistry, figure out how to replace guys on the fly, which no basketball team or coach is able to do that consistently. Trust me. You talk to Mike Woodson, you talk to Jake Debler, any coach out there. If you talk to any coach and you say, hey, you're going to lose one of your key guys, either one of the guys in your top 7 in the rotation every 5 games, how are you going to handle that? Y'all watching me right now on YouTube, you're just like, I'm struggling because I don't know. I don't know how you do it. Growth and consistency happening for the players is needed. And I do think you have some guards that can be big factors for Ohio State in the conference tournament. But also, if you're not able to go, the coaches must work on contingency plans right away. Only because this has been the story of the season. Started the season, the year off great. They had a lot of success. Saw a lot of things that I thought would be great for Ohio State moving forward. Their athleticism, their energy on both ends of the court. All of a sudden, there was even another guy that was in the middle of an FBI investigation. Forget the name right now, but it's just like, man, we just can't get our guys. Just got to find a way to get them, and if not, find a contingency plan to overcome a potential absence down the road. You can only plan so much for someone to not be there, especially when they're a big piece of your roster and a big reason why the team can have success down the road. Thank y'all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes. It's a bonus episode here on a Saturday. Remember, tomorrow, our crossover with Locked On Irish will be coming at you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. Then on Monday, we'll be giving off our last thoughts before Ohio State versus Notre Dame in the college football playoff national championship. You can follow me on X or any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Saturday. We'll see you next time.